each of the units, and people can stand up and look around. I might tell you outside the table, come and have a look, because this is, everyone goes, oh, you know what you're doing. Well, you know, the only reason I know what I'm doing is because I learned it. I read and I read and I read. So there's 3 units. 2 look very similar, and they are very similar, and one's very, very different and a lot more modern. What we can do at the station now is we can have 3 independent outside broadcasts all at one time coming through the panel. And I've set that up right now through Studio B. And I've cooked all these 3 up. So what's happening right now is this OB Unit 1 is coming through the panel on a fader called OB1, outside broadcast 1. This Unit 2 I've got going through a fader called OB number 2. And this unit here I've got going through a fader called OB number 3. So if you imagine the panel in front of you, you've got sliders, and 3 of them are labelled OB1, 2 and 3. If you had let's say, a marathon on the Central Coast from Woy Woy to Terrigal, and it was a running race and we were doing some coverage, we could have OB unit number 1 at the start, OB unit number 2 halfway along, and OB unit number 3 at the end, and you could have a presenter at each point talking about what's happening there, and say the runners are coming, and you could have this presenter talking to this presenter, asking a question, and then talking back to that presenter at different points of the race course, all through the panel. And all we need for this is basically mobile coverage. So these 2 here, they connect to little modems here, and that's what's giving us our connection, these 2 little modems here. And these ones need power, or a car, because they can run off a car battery. We've got the adapter for that. But they need these little dongles which plug in, and the guys on Saturday morning use this quite effectively, this setup with modems like this. Our 3rd OB unit, which is the brand new one, here. This one right now is connected to the internet. It's connected with my phone at the moment on a hotspot. So if you know how to make a hotspot with your phone, make a wireless network, that is now connected to the station through my phone. Now, the other great thing about this unit is, currently it's plugged into the power. Oh no, we've lost power. It keeps going. It's got an inbuilt battery. So what that means is, now we have an outside broadcast connected via 2 lots of batteries. No power required. You can see the VU meter going up and down. That's Barry coming back down the line. And then when we talk, we can talk back to Barry or talk to air. And by just pressing simply talk on and talk off. If anyone picks up the headphones later, you'll hear Barry coming through the headphones. The only time that you'll hear silence through these headphones, when there's a program going to air, and it's an important tip for young players, is when there's news on. News does not come down our OB lines, because it happens after our panel. So news actually goes to air after our panel. So sometimes on the hour you might get a bit nervous because you hear nothing, and if you know that you're in news, you'll know that at the 4 minutes and 30 seconds past the hour, you'll hear the next thing coming to air, which will be the weather out jingle. So at the moment, Barry's got program going down, so you'll see the VU meters moving on all 3 units. But this one here, quite amazing. No power required. We're not need to be hooked up by an actual cable. And in fact, the AFL Grand Final last year, we used this down in the rooms to communicate to the teams to do interviews, because it was the most effective way of getting the audio line back to ourselves in broadcast. It was just having the actual presenter carrying one of these with a microphone plugged in and interviewing the players in the rooms, because it used Wi-Fi and it allowed us to do it without getting a low interference. So that there is a great little unit. Now all of these are communicating through one box in the rack at the back there, and it's all happening via the internet. So no more do we need telephone lines and things like that like we did in the old days. Simply mobile communications, either through modems or through a mobile phone at the moment. They do stereo and mono. If we're just doing a voice thing in the field, just doing voice, we only even need mono, because microphones are mono. So there's no need to have stereo. Microphone in the studio's mono, microphone in the field's mono. But if we're doing a music program straight through to air from the field, we can set it to stereo and have 2 lines coming in from a source out in the field that will put stereo all the way through. We can also do a whole lot of other tricky stuff now, or tricking ourselves up to Summersby using data. But I wanted to show you the 3 units, and we'll have more in-depth training with people who are interested in it. But I wanted to get people's interest in seeing these types of units, because the ability of what you can do with these is nearly exactly the same as what you can do in the studio, but you can do it remotely. And I've been doing it for 17 years with the Mariners, covering the Mariners around the country, and we hold the station from wherever we are in the field. We hold the entire station, so there's nothing, no panel operator back there pressing the buttons. We're doing it all in the field, talking on the air and playing out the traffic breaks in between our commentary. So that's how it all happens, and it all happens because we have this equipment now. But we have this equipment and we can set it at different locations. So on Saturday in 2 weeks' time, there's a gardening gang 10 to 12 in Mingara, but there's a Mariners game that afternoon in Parramatta, 8 to 10. We can send units in both directions, no problem. We've got multiple units, so they can go in different locations and they'll be able to hook up to the station. So I want to give everyone a view of that, get people interested in doing outside broadcasts, being able to get into the field. Initially, pair up with someone who panel operate. That's the easiest way to do it. Have a panel operator, work out your throws, have them press play in your traffic breaks. But after that, you can develop all the way up to doing your traffic breaks remotely from the site. Any questions?
The battery life on that?
I don't know. I haven't got flat yet, but I've never. We went for a couple of hours after the grand final and didn't go flat. So I'd probably give it 4 hours, 4 or 5 hours. It just depends why they don't list battery life, because it depends on how many microphones you're putting through, how loud they are, how much is coming back through your headphones, how much loud. So I've only got one headset, so it all uses power depending on how much you've got ampering off it. So look, it's a great little backup that you can kill power and have a power outage and stay on air.
Yeah.
That's the great advantage of it. But also you can do a 2 or 3 hour OB, no problem with battery.
How does the battery recharge through the power adapter?
Just plugging it back in like that, it'll start recharging now. So it says there, it's charging. So it's just, as soon as it plugs back in, it starts charging.
So these other ones just need power and internet? Is it,
Yeah, power.
What sort of good internet?
Well, you need to have good mobile coverage, Telstra. So we've got some Telstra modems here, which I loan out to the stations we need them. They're pretty expensive to have this type of data, but luckily I can get access to it. And so this holds, this one's 4G, this one's actually 5G. So it's 5G, converts it to LAN. That's the most important thing, that they convert it to LAN, and so the devices can input that data. If you had a cable somewhere that has internet, like if you're home, when I'm using these at home, I'll just plug them straight into my router at home. Just plug it straight in, don't need to worry about those, just plug it in at home, it's on the NBN. But this one here is great because I only need to have or Wi-Fi. If they had a Wi-Fi network here at the hotel, we could just type in that Wi-Fi and it would connect to the Wi-Fi that way. So that is what we have. Questions? Happy to answer them, but I want to intro everyone, thanks everyone's here at once.